In the village of Umuchi, there was a young girl named Ada. She was beautiful, with dark, shiny skin and long, curly hair. Every young man in the village wanted to marry her, but she was in love with Chijioke, a tall and handsome man from the next village. Chijioke was rich. He had a big car, wore expensive clothes, and always had money. People in the village wondered how he became rich so fast, but no one knew his secret. Ada did not care, she was happy with him. One evening, Chijioke invited Ada to his house in the city. "Ada, my love," he said, smiling. "Come and see my house in the city. You will love it." Ada was excited. She had never traveled far from her village. She packed her best clothes and told her mother. "Mama, Chijioke wants me to visit him in the city," she said happily. But Ada's mother was worried. "My daughter, be careful. Money is not everything. Do you know how he got his wealth?" Ada laughed. "Mama, Chijioke loves me. He works hard, that is why he has money." Her mother sighed but allowed her to go. Chijioke came in with a big, black car to pick Ada. They drove out of the village, past the forest and hills. Ada looked out of the window, smiling. "Chijioke, your car is fine," she said. Chijioke smiled. "My love, this is just the beginning. When we marry, you will have everything you want." Ada was happy. She did not know that danger was waiting for her. As they got closer to the city, the road became lonely. The trees were tall, and there were no houses nearby. Suddenly, Chijioke turned off the main road and entered a small bush path. "Ada, I want to show you something special," he said. Ada felt a little afraid. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Don't worry, my love. Just trust me," Chijioke said with a strange smile.
The car stopped in front of a small, abandoned house in the forest. The place was quiet. Ada's heart started beating fast. "Chijioke, I don't like this place. Let us go back," she said. But before she could move, two strong men came out of the bush. They had red cloth tied around their heads and held long knives. Ada screamed, "Chijioke, who are these men?" Chijioke laughed. "Ada, I love you, but I need to make a sacrifice. If I sacrifice you, I will get more money." Ada's body became weak. She could not believe what she was hearing. The men moved closer. Ada turned and ran into the forest. "Catch her!" Chijioke shouted. The men chased Ada, but she was fast. She jumped over logs, ran through bushes, and scratched her hands on thorns. Her heart pounded in her chest. Then she saw a small river ahead. Without thinking, she jumped into the water and swam across. The men stopped. They could not swim. "She escaped!" one of them shouted. Ada came out on the other side, wet and shaking. She knew she had to find help before Chijioke found her again. Ada stood by the river shivering. Her hands and legs had cuts from running through the forest, but she didn't stop. She had to get away from Chijioke and his men. She looked around and saw a small footpath leading deeper into the bush. She had no choice. She had to keep running. As she ran, she thought about everything that had happened. Chijioke wanted to use her for rituals. The man she loved, the one who promised her a good life, was a ritualist. "I should have listened to Mama," Ada whispered, tears running down her face. She heard voices behind her. "She went this way," one of the men shouted. Ada's heart jumped. They were still chasing her. She ran faster, her bare feet hitting the rough ground. She didn't know where she was going, but she had to escape. After running for a long time, Ada saw smoke rising from a small hut. Someone lived here. She ran to the door and knocked hard. "Please help me. They want to kill me," she cried. The door opened slowly. A tall old man with a long white beard stood there. He held a sharp hunting knife in his hand. His eyes were strong and wise. "Who is chasing you, my daughter?" the old man asked. "Ritualists, they want to kill me," Ada cried. The old man frowned. He looked into the forest and listened carefully. Then he pulled Ada inside and shut the door. "Sit down, child. You are safe here," he said. The hut was small but strong. Animal skins hung on the walls and a big bow and arrow rested in the corner. "Who are you, Papa?" Ada asked, breathing heavily. "I am Okonkwo the hunter. I have lived in this forest for many years. Now, tell me your story." Ada told him everything, how Chijioke tricked her, how she ran away, and how the men were still after her. Okonkwo nodded. "You are lucky to be alive, my child. Many girls have not escaped these ritualists, but don't worry, I will help you." Ada sighed in relief. But then they heard a noise outside. The ritualists had found the hut. "She is inside that hut," one of the men shouted. Ada held Okonkwo's arm, shaking. "Papa, what do we do?" Okonkwo smiled. "Do not fear. I have faced lions in this forest. These men are nothing." He picked up his bow and arrow and opened the door. The three men stood outside, holding their knives. Chijioke was among them, his face angry. "Old man, this is not your fight. Give us the girl, and we will let you go," Chijioke said. Okonkwo laughed. "You dare enter my forest and give me orders?" Before the men could move, Okonkwo shot an arrow. The arrow hit one of the ritualists in the leg. He screamed and fell. The other two men charged at Okonkwo, but the old hunter was fast. He swung his sharp knife and cut one across the arm. Chijioke saw that Okonkwo was too strong. He turned to run, but Ada was faster. She grabbed a big stick and hit him on the back of his head. Chijioke fell to the ground. "You wanted to kill me!" Ada shouted, breathing hard. Chijioke groaned, holding his head. The other two men, wounded and scared, dragged themselves into the forest. Okonkwo grabbed Chijioke and tied him up with strong ropes. "You will not hurt any girl again," the old hunter said. The next morning, Okonkwo and Ada took Chijioke back to Amuchi village. The whole village gathered to see the man who had been kidnapping girls. Ada's mother ran to her, crying, "My daughter! You are alive! Mama, I am sorry," Ada cried, hugging her mother. The village elders questioned Chijioke, and he confessed. "I used many girls for rituals," he admitted, but Ada was too smart. She escaped. The villagers gasped in anger. "You will not escape justice," the chief said. "Tomorrow you will face the village judgment." That night, Ada sat with Okonkwo by the fire. "Thank you, Papa Okonkwo," she said. The old hunter smiled. "You are strong, Ada. Remember, not all that glitters is gold. Be wise next time." Ada nodded. She had learned a big lesson. The next day, Chijioke was taken away by the village warriors. Justice was served. And Ada? She became a hero in Amuchi, the girl who escaped the ritualist boyfriend.